Hello, my dear children. Myself Sujata. Hope you are all doing well. In this session, we learn a new chapter from Economics, Chapter 2 People as Resource. Let us look into the topics to be covered. We'll have an overview, role of education and health in human capital formation, economic activities by men and women, primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, and economic activities. We'll study and discuss about these terms: human capital, gross national product, human capital formation, advantages of a more educated or a healthier population. Okay, what is human capital? Population becomes human capital when there is investment made in the form of education, training, and medical care. People as resource is an effort to explain population as an asset for the economy rather than a liability. Human capital is a stock of skill and productive knowledge embodied in them. People as resource is a way of referring to a country's working people in terms of their existing productive skills and abilities. Population from this productive aspect emphasizes its ability to contribute to the creation of the gross national product. Like other resources, population also is a resource, a human resource. To know how people can try to become a more productive resource, let us listen to two stories which can illustrate it. Let us listen to the story of Sagal first. There were two friends, Vilas and Sagal, living in the same village, Simapur. Sagal was a 12-year-old boy. His mother, Sheila, looked after domestic chores. His father, Bhuta Chowdhury, worked in an agricultural field. Sagal helped his mother in domestic chores. He also looked after his younger brother Jitu and sister Sidhu. His uncle Shyam had passed the matriculation examination but was sitting idle in the house as he had no job. Bhuta and Sheila were eager to teach Sagal. They forced him to join the village school, which he soon joined. He started studying and completed his higher secondary examination. His father persuaded him to continue his studies. He raised a loan for Sagal to study a vocational course in computers. Sagal was meritorious and interested in studies from the beginning. With great vigor and enthusiasm, he completed his course. After some time, he got a job in a private firm. He even designed a new kind of software. This software helped him increase the sale of the firm. His boss acknowledged his services and rewarded him with a promotion. Now let us listen to the story of Vilas. Vilas was an 11-year-old boy residing in the same village as Sagar. Vilas' father, Mahesh, was a fisherman. His father passed away when he was only 2 years old. His mother, Geeta, sold fish to earn money to feed the family. She bought fish from the landowner's pond and sold it in the nearby mandi. She could earn only rupees 20 to 30 a day by selling fish. Vilas became a patient of arthritis. His mother could not afford to take him to the doctor. He could not go to school either. He was not interested in studies. He helped his mother in cooking and also looked after his younger brother Mohan. After some time, his mother fell sick and there was no one to look after her. There was no one in the family to support them. Vilas too was forced to sell fish in the same village. He, like his mother, earned only a meager income. In the two case studies, we saw Sagal went to school and Vilas did not go. Sagal was physically strong and healthy. There was no need for him to visit the doctor frequently. Vilas was a patient of arthritis. He lacked the means to visit the doctor. Sagal acquired a degree in computer programming. Sagal found a job in a private firm, while Vilas continued with the same work as his mother. He earned a meager income. like his mother, to support a family. In the case of Sagal, several years of education added to the quality of labor. This enhanced his total productivity. Total productivity adds to the growth of the economy. This in turn pays an individual through salary or in some other form of his choice. In case of Vilas, there could not be any education or health care in the early part of his life. He spends his life selling fish like his mother. Henceforth, he draws the same salary of unskilled labor as his mother. Okay, from these stories, we can understand that human resource can be further developed by becoming more educated and healthy, and we can call it human capital formation. It adds to the productive power of the country just like physical capital formation. Investment in human capital through education, training, medical care yields a return just like investment in physical capital. Physical capital consists of man-made physical resources such as factories, buildings, machinery and equipment that are used to actually convert raw materials into usable products for consumer purchase. This can be seen directly in the form of higher incomes earned because of higher productivity of the more educated or the better trained persons, as well as the higher productivity of healthier people. So, population need not be a burden for the economy. It can be turned into a productive asset by investment in human capital. For example, by spending resources on education and health for all, training of industrial and agricultural workers in the use of modern technology, useful scientific researches, and so on. In fact, human capital is in one way superior to other resources like land and physical capital. Human resource can make use of land and capital. Land and capital cannot become useful on its own. So, population becomes human capital when investment is made in the form of education, training, and medical care. It adds up to the productive power of a country. When the investment is made in the existing human resource for further development by becoming more educated and healthy, is termed as human capital formation. Large, uneducated, and unhealthy population is a liability to nation. Okay, now let us see the role of education and health in capital formation among children. A child too with investments made on her education and health can yield a high return in future in the form of higher earnings and greater contribution to the society. It is very clear from the story of Sagal and Vilas. Educated parents are found to invest more heavily on the education of their child. This is because they have realized the importance of education for themselves. They are also conscious of proper nutrition and hygiene. They accordingly look after their children's needs for education at school and good health. A virtual cycle, that is of higher standard, is thus created in this case. In contrast, a vicious cycle may be created by disadvantaged parents, who themselves uneducated and lacking in hygiene keep their children in a similarly disadvantaged state. Countries like Japan have invested in human resource. How did they become rich or developed? They did not have any natural resource. They import the natural resource needed in the country. They have invested on people, especially in the field of education and health. These people have made efficient use of other resources like land and capital. Efficiency and the technology evolved by people have made these countries rich and developed. Like Vilas and Sagal, people have been engaged in various activities. We saw that Vilas sold fish and Sagal got a job in the firm. The various activities have been classified into three main sectors, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary sector includes agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, mining, and quarrying. Agriculture employs two-thirds of the population of India. Manufacturing is included in the secondary sector. Manufacturing industry absorbs about 10% of the total working population. Trade, transport, communication, banking, education, health, tourism services, insurance, etc. are included in the tertiary sector. This sector employs about 25% of our population. The activities in this sector result in the production of goods and services. The various activities classified as primary, secondary, and tertiary are called economic activities. Economic activities have two parts: market activities and non-market activities. Market activities involve remuneration to anyone who performs, that is, activity performed for pay or profit. It adds value to the national income. These include production of goods or services, including government service, such as teacher, engineer, and doctor. Non-market activities are the production for self-consumption. These can be consumption and processing of primary product and own account production of fixed assets. For example, mother cooks food for her family, but she is not paid. Subsistence farming and processing of primary products can also be called non-market activities. Okay, which are the major determinants of earnings? Education and skill are the major determinants of earning. Education helps individual to make better use of the economic opportunities available before him. Women with high education and skill formation are paid at par with the men. Women are not paid for their service delivered in the family. The household work done by women is not recognized in the national income. Majority of women have meager education and low skill formation. Women are paid for their work when they enter the labor market. Their earning, like that of their male counterpart, is determined on the basis of education and skill. Some have entered administrative and other services, including job that needs high level of scientific and technological competence. So we can say that major determinants of earnings, it includes education and skill. Okay, now let us recap what we have learned in this session. We learned that population is an asset for the economy rather than a liability. When human resources is further developed by becoming more educated and healthy, we call it human capital formation. It adds to the productive power of the country, just like physical capital formation. And also we discussed about economic activities and the major determinants of earnings. Okay, now try to answer the following questions. Give an example to prove that population is an asset for the economy rather than a liability. What is the role of education in human capital formation? Mention 3 sectors of economic activities with examples. What is an economic activity? What are the different types of economic activities? Hope you have understood. Now read the textbook thoroughly and answer all the questions. Meet you in the next session. Thank you.